Hey everyone, how's it going? So what am I working on now? Well, I got that 2011 Honda Odyssey. We're going to be changing the AC condenser. So when I showed you with the sniffer how it was leaking at the front there, I have the AC machine hooked up to it right now because I'm sucking it down because I don't know how much Freon was in it. I gave it a full charge, whatever it was, like 15 days ago. So right now, I'm just evacuating the system so we can actually see what's in there. It's still in the clear process, but it should start its recovery soon. But in the meantime, what we can start doing is start detrimming it because I'm pretty confident I got to take the bumper cover off to do this repair. I'm not positive, but let me get you guys set up in a tripod there. Now we're going to pull this upper cover off and see what I can... Oh, it should have started. Get this upper cover off and see what's involved in getting this condenser out. All right, let's do that. All right, I know the background noise from that AC machine might be quite a bit. It's hard to tell from my end, to be honest with you. So I apologize if it is. So these are just push clips, pick them up and out of the way. I usually will stick them up on a cowl so I don't lose them. In case you guys are looking at this, wondering what this is just another tool that I had. I just grabbed this just in case this was going to be easier. I just didn't know at the time. Now this just comes out like that. Lay that down to the side. And there we have our condenser right there in front of the radiator. So pulling the bumper cover off is just going to make our life that much easier. So let's do that. Let me start by getting these 10s out for the upper part of the grill portion here, and then once that AC machine is finished up, then we can put this up in the air and detach the rest of this front bumper cover. Now, a lot of times when I take these out, what I'll do is I'll see how far forward will the grill come, because sometimes you can get the grill out, and this one appears to just have those type of push pins down below in the corners. There's one there and one there. See it right there? So I'm wondering if I could dig those out and get the grill out of the way and maybe not have to take the whole bumper cover off. Hang on, let me try messing with this thing. See what I can do. Hang on. There we are. Push pin is actually disintegrating a little bit. Same process as getting the ones off up here, except this is just a little tighter. That one down. Now, I'm not quite sure. There's something else holding this in, but I'm not quite sure what. Let me get a good eyeball at this thing and try to figure this out, and then I'll show you if I can. If not, then the whole grill comes out, or the whole bumper cover comes off. That's all. No big deal. Okay, so I cannot get the grill out itself, just by itself. I'm sure once it's off I could figure it out, but I can't figure it out there, and I don't want to break anything. So we're just going to pull the bumper cover off. That's all. So the grill just stays attached. So let's put this up in the air. I got the AC machine disconnected. Put it up in the air and we'll get the bumper cover off. Okay, so in the wheel well here we have like these Phillips screw looking things. I'm gonna show you a neat little tool I got. This, if you've ever seen this, it's got a one-way clutch in it, basically, for like loosening and tightening things, and you can take the bit out, so this way you have like a short screwdriver. It comes with a regular flathead and a Phillips, and I'm sure probably you can get other different types of drives for it, like Torx bits or whatever, I think. I'm not positive. But the neat thing about this is you can flip sides, and you go through the other side, and I'm trying to do this one-handed. You can use it for tightening or loosening. So let me just put this in place and you can see it. So here, like right now it's set to tighten. So you put it in there, it's going to tighten, but I want to loosen. So I'm going to take this out, flip it, and you loosen it. And the nice thing about this is it's so nice and tight, meaning short height-wise here, you can fit it in between wheels and stuff like that. It really makes a big difference in a lot of different things. It makes your life pretty simple. I think this thing was originally designed for like bodywork type stuff, and then once you get the screw loose, just do like that, and you take it out, and then move on to the next one. And then same thing. Just get it set in there, and there you go. You loosen the screw, and you get it out. All right, let me take the screws out of the other side, and then we're going to go from there. All right, so underneath here, we have a couple of 10mm headed bolts and some push pins. So we're going to have to knock those out of there in order to get this bumper cover free from there. Let me see if I can't get you on a better angle. This way you can see what I'm doing, kind of. Sorry if the headlight creates any glare. I told you before, I kind of need it. Those are free. So now, and sometimes these clips break, especially the ones that are exposed to dirt and stuff, because dirt jams up inside of them. Like this one is not going to come free, friendly like. No, we'll just have to replace that, that's all. And for some reason, Honda likes to use like a metal clip on the inside of some of these plastic clips, and it just makes it a barrier part. Like, I don't understand the reason for the metal clip. Just stick everything off to the side. Alright, so this should be coming free. So let me let this thing down a bit so I can work with it at a different height. Then we're going to have to change that to this. Alright, hang on a minute. So now at this point, with everything free and all of those screws out, you gotta be careful. Sometimes that you put screws from the inner fender liners up in here. I don't think, yeah, Honda doesn't do that on this one. Okay. Go to the other side. sometimes you have to get violent with things. And there it goes. Bumper cover comes right off. All right. Just going to put this out of the way for now. All right, so let's see, what do we have here? As you can see, the condenser is all wet right there. So now that the system's already sucked down, I can open up the lines here without fear of getting a face full of Freon. And that's something you do not want to do. You got to be careful when you open up an AC line. Make sure the system has no pressure in it. Use a gauge to figure it out, or worse comes to worse, trip a Schrader valve to see if you have any pressure in it. Because if you pop that line off, that stuff will blow off with force, and it can blind you, it can hurt you. So just please be mindful of that. Yeah, so let me get, it's just a couple of 10s really. We have, whoops, I'm showing you my face. Hi. We have a 10 here. We don't have to worry about this. This is power steering cooler. We have a 10 here, a 10 there, and then we have these two 10 brackets, and then this whole condenser should come right out. I don't think we have to take the bumper beam off, the safety beam, impact beam, whatever you want to call it. I don't think we have to touch that. So let's go ahead and let's start getting this thing apart. And put you somewhere where you can see me. Let's say right about there should be a good spot. What are you thinking? Now you may get an initial burst, like slight puff of refrigerant when you first evacuate it, but I usually evacuate it and put in a slight vacuum first to ensure that everything is out of the system. This to the side. That goes there. This line is off down there. Rotate these two brackets off up here. Always be mindful of your rubber mount bushings, because sometimes new radiators or condensers might actually come with them. I have seen that. Sometimes they don't. It's usually the bottom ones that get stuck. But just be mindful of it, so you either put them back in or don't double up on them. That's off. And usually the brackets are left and right, just something to keep in mind. And I think that's it, I think. This will come out. Yep, just like that. And here's the lower mount bushings. Like I said, just make sure you take them out. Usually what I will do is I will take them and stick them into the frame. Usually, not all the time, it really depends. Right now I'm going to stick them into the frame because we're going to take this old condenser and put it to the side. Now let's go get the new one. All right, so here we have the new condenser. If you want, I'll put a part number. I think we got this from 1-800-Radiator. So now these lower stanchions, nipples, whatever you want to call them, they have to go into the mounts there. So here's the mount. So we're going to slip the condenser down. Like I said, sometimes do put those mounts on the radiator first. Now see, this actually doesn't line up exactly, but this hole on this side is actually elongated, so this one can move over. So there we got that one, there we got that one. Push it down. Oh, the little plastic cap fell off over there. And now we're going to talk about those O-rings too. So let's put the brackets in place, and everybody should be good here. Let me just put you here, and hang on one second. All right, so here's the two brackets. What we're going to do is just put the bushings up on here. You can even put them in the brackets if you want to. Now, oh my gosh, I forgot which side goes where. Is this? No, obviously this doesn't go here. This one goes over here. I'll catch the bolt. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I think you can. This one, pop it over that mount bushing. Catch your 10, just like that. And now we're going to tighten it up. That's it. Now your whole condenser is nicely installed. Okay, let's talk about O-rings. Let me let this thing down a little bit so we can discuss this. Actually, maybe I won't let it down. Let me put it up in the air first so we can do the bottom one first, and then we'll talk about this. Okay, so here's the O-ring on here, okay? What I will usually do is I will feel out the O-ring. Does it feel pliable? Yes. Is the O-ring taller than the actual shaft that it sits upon, or the fitting piece that it sits upon? Meaning, is it a larger diameter? Yes. This thing feels pretty darn good. So, there we go, installed. I'm going to get people out there saying, you should have replaced the O-ring. I'll be honest with you. I've done this on my own car more times than you can imagine with O-rings. You know, no matter what it is, it could be fuel injectors too. I do it on customers' cars as well. If it comes with new O-rings, which this condenser did not, if it comes with new O-rings, I will at least take a look at them to consider should they change them. You know, look at the new ones, that is. You'd be surprised, a lot of times the new ones are junk. Seen that plenty of times, or they're the wrong size. So O-rings feel fine. I have no problem reusing them. You won't have a problem. I can't even tell you, in all the years I've been doing this, I honestly don't recall ever getting one back that had a leak. I can't remember one. Does it mean I didn't have one that leaked? It doesn't mean that. I mean, I could have. I don't really recall it. I don't. So, it's just something to consider. If the O-ring feels good, if it's flat and it's level with the tube that's inserting, if it's level with that part of the fitting, replace it. This thing was bulged up and over. Everything felt fine. It was soft. It was pliable. I'm reusing it. I have no problem with that. So, all right, let's get these lines on. Let's tighten it up. Now, even this upper O-ring, it looks fine. Okay, I did feel it out already. It feels good. And then see, it goes to this point, and then you have to push it in. Okay, that means it's sealing. It's good. There's no nicks in it, no nothing. Everything's perfect. And the board that it came out of, if the bore had any corrosion on it, I would have replaced it. But the board that it came out of was perfectly fine. So let's get this in and tightened up. All right, so here we go. We're going to tighten this up. Now, a lot of times what I would do is I would hook the AC machine up to it now to start a vacuum, but since I got to put the nose back on it, and I got to catch all the hardware underneath it, let's get the nose on this first. So let's just shut that light off. And let's come back here, and here, and let's hang this nose. Actually, let me catch those two clips on the inside first. Those two clips that I took off behind the grill, putting those in. First thing I do is I'm going to catch those top bolts there. Sorry about the lift noise behind me. Nothing I can do about that. And I won't tighten these. I'm going to put these in loosely. Because then this way I can manipulate the whole front end to do what I need to do. All right, let's put this thing up in the air and let's get this thing caught. This thing basically in here, this is like a receiver groove. See these tabs right there? They catch these holes. So what we're going to do, hang on one second. All right, so now what you do is you pick this up and you're trying to get it as close as possible. Get everything to line up. Sometimes it fights you. Sometimes things fight you. Come on. It's fighting me. I think I'm caught underneath, but that's the general idea. Let me go up underneath and see why the panels are catching and fighting me. And that's what was fighting me. I knew something was fighting me down here. What's that? Side two. All right, so now let's let this thing down and then let's try to catch the corners. Let me let you down a little bit. Alright, so now get you where you need to be like that. So now this should go together the way I want it to. That's it. So that, see that's together now. So now we put the screws in. Basically, do the same thing for the other side. That's it. Real quick on those O-ring things, if it was some kind of very high pressure system that you had to worry about, where they tell you you have to replace the O-rings each and every time, then yes, I would replace the O-rings, because I know, like I said, I know I'm going to get comments in regards to the O-rings. I'm just telling you what I do. Okay, so let's get the rest of that together, and let's get the rest of this nose on, and we'll charge AC. Now that's in the process of vacuuming. Now, I wanted to tell you this. Anytime you open up a system, put it on a vacuum for about 20 minutes. What happens is you put it into a vacuum, it helps boil out any moisture from air that got in the system. It helps boil it out and suck it out. If you're doing this at home and you do not have a vacuum pump to suck the air out, and I see this way too often, well, people will replace something in their driveway and then they'll get a can of whatever from the parts store and recharge it. And guess what? The AC doesn't work right after that. Well, you didn't get the air out of the system. What's in the air? Moisture, humidity. That affects the system. So a lot of times it'll hurt, like the I'm drawing a blank here today. I think it's the background noise. The metering valve, it'll affect the metering valve. It can affect the compressor, stuff like that. And also when people replace parts like the condenser, it won't put oil in it. You're supposed to put a certain amount of oil in there. There's usually a chart somewhere that tells you, hey, you replace the condenser, put in 2 ounces. Or you replace the compressor, well, compressor's a little different. But you replace the line, you replace the receiver dryer, put in X amount of oil into the system. A lot of times people won't do that. But if you're doing it at home, you have to vacuum the system. Vacuum pumps are not that expensive, and it's worth having if you do enough work. But if you don't vacuum out, and now you just added Freon on top of it, now you have a Freon air mix, and the system will never work right. You know, and people will complain, oh, it's just not cold. And I recharged it. Well, yeah, it's not cold because you have air in the system. That's why. So, anyway, I'm going to let this finish up its vacuum, and then we're going to recharge it, and we're going to add oil to it at the same time. Okay, so the vacuum completed, and I'm going to show you here. Remember I said there was capacities? So here you got refrigerant oil, capacities, components, condenser, including a dryer and desiccant, 1 2/3 ounce. And you can see the other things, a third of an ounce, 4 5/8 ounces, that's for the compressor. Yeah. Those are always, you got to follow the directions when it comes to a compressor, but we're not going to go into that now because that's not what we're doing. So 1 2/3 ounce, for the sake of argument, we're going to put in 2 ounces. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, so vacuum time 10, I actually did it twice because after I mentioned it to you about doing it for 20 minutes, I was like, wait a minute, I only did it for 10. So I did it twice. So we're going to go to charge. And what is charge on this? 7.55 is max, so that's what we're going to go to. And 7.55 is 1.7. So, and I removed 1.3, so I did lose some. Oil amount, 2 ounces, charging on the high side, and okay. What it'll do is it'll purge the air, it'll inject the oil, and it'll charge it. So let me let that finish up. You don't have to sit there and watch the whole thing, because it's basically you walk away from it. So let me let that go ahead and do that. Sure, you see it's injecting, but all right, we're not going to sit there through the whole thing. All right, so the charge is actually finished. What it wants me to do is disconnect the high side, and then it's going to equalize the hoses because the low side is the suction side, so it'll suck out whatever's left in the hoses. I'm just going to do all of that, and then we're going to be done. We're going to road test this. All right, we're ready to road test. I got it running. AC is nice and cold, although it's not all that hot out today, so it's like extremely cold. But I want to show you something real quick. See all the lights on the dashboard, the traction control, ABS, brake, all of that should clear out once I get straight and hit a certain speed, whatever, but it should straighten itself out, because if you remember, I had this thing running on the lift and I had the wheels cut and everything else, and I stopped one wheel just so I could hear the axle. But this should straighten itself out, and it should shut the lights off all on its own. So let's go for a ride and see what it does. Just pulling out of the shop now. Like I said, usually it's a certain speed. It may not. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, see, it shut off. So let's go for a ride, and I just want to feel it out because, you know, I did have the suspension apart in that, so I always like to feel things out and make sure things are good. If you remember before, when I had the wheels cut and I was just in the parking lot at the shop, you could hear the axle go clack, 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 clack. All right, so now here we are. Wheels cut. There's no noise. So I am happy with that. I can hear a very, very, very slight noise from the right axle, but that heavy, heavy clack, 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 that was from the left axle. And like I said, the customer had already known that, so obviously somebody had told them that. All right, let's head back to the shop and let's wrap this up. right, so there you go. I mean, it really wasn't a terrible job after all. So, all right. Hopefully you're getting something out of my videos. If you are, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.